Hello, hello, beautiful humans. I'm Shelby Hartman, DoubleBlind's co-founder and editor-in-chief, and today I'm going to talk about setting intentions. I'm just going to remind you that if you like these videos, to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you never miss a beat from us on all things psychedelics. Also, I wanted to let you in on some hot news. DoubleBlind is launching a podcast hosted by yours truly. The podcast is called the DoubleBlind Magic Hour. We're putting a lot of love into this thing. We are speaking to the most brilliant minds and hearts we know within the psychedelic movement, and we're also taking you behind the scenes at DoubleBlind to talk to journalists who write for the magazine about what is going on inside of the psychedelic industry. So stay tuned in the coming weeks. So if you've been watching videos on DoubleBlind, reading articles, or just educating yourself more broadly on best practices for journeying on a psychedelic, then you've probably heard this word intention, or heard people talk about setting an intention before your psychedelic journey. So I want to talk a little bit about what this means and how to do it and why it's important. So firstly, at the risk of stating the obvious, there are a lot of choices to be made once you decide that you feel called to have a psychedelic experience. What psychedelic are you going to do? What's the dosage that you're going to do? Where are you going to have this experience? Who's going to be with you when you have the experience? Are you going to sit in a ceremony? Are you going to journey with your partner? Are you going to trip by yourself? So what you want to get out of the experience, what your intention is, whether that is, I want to heal my depression, I want to heal childhood trauma, I want to heal a relationship that I am in, I want to figure out my purpose, I want to figure out why I'm not aligned in my life, I want to just have a good time with the people that I love. That is going to guide all of those factors, right? The where, when, who, what, etc. The first thing that you want to do when you set an intention is you really just want to take some time with yourself. Now, I know that might sound really obvious, but we live in a society that is moving at about 500 miles an hour, and everyone is, answering their emails and taking their kids to school, and in the few moments that we have to ourselves, a lot of people are in the habit of kind of compulsively reaching for their cell phones and going on social media. I know that I do that sometimes. I have to catch myself doom scrolling because these apps are actually designed to suck us in. And the result of this is that we don't have a lot of time where we're truly just with ourselves, our thoughts and our feelings. And so in order to figure out really why it is that you want to have a psychedelic experience, you got to block out that time to literally do nothing, be silent, go into nature, take a day by yourself in your house, give your dog to your best friend to watch for the day, like truly just be alone. Meditate. If you don't know how to meditate, or you're just finding that your thoughts are too all over the place, then perhaps look up a guided meditation on an app like Insight Timer or Calm. Journal. If you don't know how to journal or you've never done that before, then stream of consciousness, like whatever is emerging for you. Or journaling prompts like we have in the additional resources guide that lives at the bottom of DoubleBlind's article. Movement is an amazing way to get in touch with what is alive for you. Yoga, dance, exercise, really just tending to yourself and giving yourself that space to ask, what is alive for me? What is most present for me? Now, once you get all of that out on paper and you become sort of a little bit more clear about what it is that you're looking to get out of the psychedelic experience, then from there, you can start to think about setting an intention. Now, what is an intention? An intention is a reason for having the psychedelic experience. It's your why, but it's also an anchor during the journey. And this is something that we don't hear people talk about enough. Oftentimes, when you're under the influence of a psychedelic, like shrooms, LSD, ayahuasca, you probably know from experience, or you might have read, that these medicines can be incredibly disorienting. Sometimes you lose sense of space, time, reality, yourself. And the intention can help you in those moments to remember why it is that you're there and to sort of direct your concentration on what it is that you're looking to heal and what it is that you're looking to work through. So when you're setting an intention, I recommend that you make it something that is very simple, that you think you'll be able to remember when you're under the influence of the psychedelic. So this doesn't mean that you don't, when you're journaling, write down the 500 million things that you're hoping to get out of the experience, because Lord knows we all have 500 million things that we'd like to see improved in our lives. I want a better relationship with my mom. I want to stop fighting with my partner. I want to make more money. I want to do work that brings me purpose. I want to lose weight. I want to stop drinking as much alcohol. I mean, everyone has 500 million things that they want to improve in their life. But trust me, when you're on ayahuasca, you're not going to remember the 500 million things you put in your journal. But you know what you might be able to remember? You might be able to remember that you are there to heal the chronic pain in your body. That you are there to love yourself again. That you are there to uncover why it is that you're having difficulty sleeping. You might try, this is something that is used a lot in meditation, creating an intention that utilizes the words, I am. I am whatever it is that you want to be. So rather than using negative language like, my intention is to no longer be tired, you might consider an intention like, I am rested. And it's hard to explain, but there is a power in speaking your intention as though it has already happened and truly believing in the possibility of a future where you are embodying your intention. Something else I want to say about setting an intention is that it can be very helpful to set an intention because it can keep you sort of focused in the psychedelic experience and can also keep you grounded in your why. So oftentimes psychedelic experiences can kind of take us in a multiplicity of directions. And some people actually describe mushrooms and ayahuasca and other plant medicines as sort of these wily entities that can unveil truths, but can also kind of like take us in directions that aren't even necessarily always helpful or aren't always even necessarily why we're there. So you know, your intention is that you want to, heal the chronic pain in your body. And then you get into ceremony and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, ayahuasca's taking you over here. And actually it wants you to look at whatever other thing that didn't even occur to you to journal about ahead of the experience. So you can come back to your intention and you can ask the plant, which, you may or may not believe this, but all indigenous cosmologies understand these plants to be animate beings with spirits. You can ask the plant, hey, actually, I don't want to go over here. Will you take me over there? But you also have to be prepared for the fact that, these plants, if you believe they're animate beings, whether or not you do, sometimes when you say, I don't want to go over there, I want to go over here, the answer you're going to get is, sorry, no, we're going over here. And that is the moment for what we often refer to as surrendering in the plant medicine community. This idea that I often say I go into psychedelic experiences with questions and I come out realizing my questions were too small. Sometimes we don't know what we need. And every single psychedelic experience is different. Every single psychedelic is different. Sometimes, you're experiencing a lot of depression and heaviness in your life, and you're scared to go into the psychedelic experience because you think that it's just going to amplify those feelings and you're going to get really uncomfortable. But guess what happens instead? You experience orgasmic joy and light beaming through your body in a way that you never could have anticipated. Whereas other times you're like, I'm doing great in my life and everything's going well. And then you go into the psychedelic and it's like, whoa, Nelly, like it can be dark, it can be deep, it can be sticky. The point is, go in with an intention, but also, as Gabrielle Williams, who is a medicine woman that we love at DoubleBlind, that we've worked with, says, don't grip the intention too tightly. And then also be willing to sort of, at a certain point, release it and trust the experience. And know that you can never predict how a journey is going to unfold. After the journey, take time to process what happened for you. This is a good moment to come back to your intention, whether or not you feel like you got the answer you were looking for. Because sometimes whatever emerged for you could be another area of your life that is unrelated to your intention. But typically we find in the integration process that all of the areas in our lives that are causing us distress are actually connected somehow. So you might not fully see it right away. It might take some movement, some therapy, some sitting in circle with other people and sharing about your experiences. But the revelations, so to speak, are not always linear and they're not always sensical right away. But be open to the possibility that you actually got the answer you were looking for, but it was just presented in a different way. Either way, we just want to invite people to join in community and to share with others about their experiences when they're ready, to help them remember what it was that the experience unveiled to them and to really stay connected to the experience. A lot of facilitators say, it's really not about the psychedelic experience. The work begins when the journey ends. We have so many resources on DoubleBlind to support people like you on their journey with psychedelics. So if you're curious, you can check them out at doubleblindmag.com. Either way, I just want to remind you, if you enjoyed this video, to subscribe, turn on your notifications, and like this. We'll see you next time.
Oh, little adventure, I really need